Hello and welcome. This is Jennifer McGuire, and thanks so much for stopping by. As I've admitted in videos before, I really like the look of watercolor, but sometimes struggle with some watercolor techniques. So I'm always looking for easy things to do with watercolor, and today is another example of that. I call this either outline watercolor or watercolor tracing. It's a technique that I used on the flowers here. I absolutely love this floral image, and it's pretty complicated to do with this technique, so I recommend starting with something simpler, but I decided to be brave and use this because I liked it so much. This image is from Jane's Doodles. There's lots of floral images in this set, but any kind of outline image would work great for this. Now I need to make sure that my stamp is good and clean. You can see that stamp has lots of black ink on it because I was doing lots of stamping with this with black ink. Now good quality stamps will stain. That's just the nature of these good quality stamps. So you'll see it stained, but it is clean and that should be fine. I just wanted to remind people because people talk about stained stamps all the time. Don't worry, stained stamps are okay as long as you just clean them off. Okay, so now I have watercolor paper here from Tim Holtz, and I have a super light gray ink from Simon Says Stamp. Any kind of very light ink would be good for this. Maybe like a light tan color or the Distress ink color Antique Linen would be good too. Today I'm using Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers. These are the coolest watercolor markers I've ever seen. They're so unique and very different from anything I've ever tried before. Now I'm going to tell you now that I do have a video with lots of information and lots of ways to use these brush markers. It's coming up in the next week or two. But I did want to show you them today. So I'm not going to talk too much about how these work, but I just wanted to briefly show you and promise that a video will be coming. Now what's unique about these is the tip is actually a brush. So there's color in there and it's actually a brush tip. Unlike many other watercolor markers that's like a firm tip, this actually has tiny little bristles. The nice thing is that they're super fine, so you can write very fine with them, or you can press a little bit harder and get a broader tip. It's really cool how these work, and they blend very easily. So you can blend them with or without water. I have had so much fun playing with these over the past few weeks, and I promise to do a video very soon on them. I just wanted to make sure I really loved them before I shared them with you, and I really do. So now it's time to go ahead and trace our stamped image. I'm going to do one area at a time. Remember, I can use a light hand to get a light trace, and I can use a little more pressure to get more of a broad trace of our stamped image. So I'm just going to do this one rose first. I do have ready a water brush. So it's just a brush that's filled with water. If you don't have that, you could use a fine paintbrush with some water. Now you don't want a lot of water on your brush for this technique unless you really want it to be like a soft watercolory look. I want to try to keep the shape of this rose. So here's my watercolor brush, or my water brush. This one is from Zig, and I think it's one of my favorites. I don't know, I've tried a lot and I struggled with a lot, but this one I really like how much water comes out. Now all I'm doing is simply coloring over the image we have, and you can see that the red starts to bleed, and we end up with that pink in the center that is just beautiful. Now you can leave it as is, but what I'm going to do is go in with that same marker right onto the wet paper, it's okay, and add some dark colors into the areas where I want a little bit of shading, where I want the darker areas to be, and then blend those out. And you can see how easy it is to just kind of blend those colors and get some depth into our rose. I like that I don't have to wait for this to dry and then add more water. I can take the brush right to the wet paper. Now please keep in mind that you can use any kind of watercolor markers that you may already have, such as Distress markers, Tombow markers, the Spectrum Noir Aqua markers. I'm just experimenting with the Zig Clean Color Real Brush pens today because I really like that brush tip and how easy they are to blend. But again, stay tuned for the video where I show more on these markers. I went ahead and did a second rose the exact same way with the same color, and I'm going to heat set that with my heat gun so that I don't have to take the time to let it dry on its own, and this prevents it from bleeding with any colors we may do near it. Next, I did the daisy. Now, I'm going to admit I don't love the results of my daisy, and I know why. I ended up pressing a little bit too hard, so my outline tracing that I did is a little bit too broad. I think it would have been better if I did it a little bit softer. However, you live and you learn, and I'm going to still finish this card out because I don't think anybody would ever get this card and say, man, she really messed up that daisy. So I decided to leave it as is, and I think it'll be fine. Now I traced in like a yellow color, and I came and added kind of like a goldish color towards the center, and I still thought it was a little too drab, so I came in with like an orangey yellow. You can keep adding colors to it while it's wet, and that's fantastic. Now here is another rose. I love this kind of corally color that this particular color gives. I traced it with a very light hand, and now I'm coming in and adding the water to it. Now this marker is much lighter color. That's one of the things I like about these color real brush pens is they have light colored markers too, so you can get really soft watercolor, which sometimes is you only can get by adding a lot of water to a color. But this is soft to begin with, so you don't have to worry about that. You can get soft results. However, when I put it on here, I thought it was a little too soft, so I ended up going in and adding quite a bit more with my pen just to kind of deepen it up a little bit. But I like that there are these light colors in the package so that you can get the soft looks. By the way, these markers come in several different sizes. I think there's like a 12 pack, a 24, 48, 60. I got the 48 because the 60 pack, there was a wait to get it, and I'm impatient. And I'm very happy with the 48 pack. Okay, so I'm just going to heat set that, and I'm going to continue on here. I added some brown to the center of the flowers here, and then green onto the leaves. Now with the green, I did two colors of green, more of a lime on the outside tracing, and then a darker green on the center part of the leaf. And that way, when I add water to them, the two colors kind of blend, and it gives a look of depth. Now keep in mind, you can use this technique with absolutely any outline images you have. I think it's best to start with something a little more simple than I chose, but it really is an easy technique, and you really can't go wrong with it. No line coloring techniques are very popular right now. My friend Christina Werner, who I'll link to, she is amazing at it. I'm not very good at it, so this is an easy way to get that look without having to have all that amount of talent that Christina has. Okay, so now for the vase. I did a light gray outline, and then I added some water to the paper, but you can see it didn't blend out much because there wasn't much marker on the paper. But by wetting the paper and then bringing my marker in on top of that, I can start to blend that out a little more. And you can keep going in and adding more color down and blending it out even more. So you can get a soft gray kind of silver look to the vase of your flower. I do highly recommend that you do this technique on watercolor paper. It makes a big difference. Now, there are many types of watercolor paper out there. My favorite is the watercolor paper from Ranger and Tim Holtz. I just think it's a great quality, and I love supporting those kind of companies in the industry who are bringing us great products like Ranger. So now I have all of my image finished. It's time to just heat set it so that I don't mess it up when I finish up my card. Now for a sentiment, I decided to use these glitter stickers from Heidi Swapp. I think these are fantastic. It's amazing how many great products are in the scrapbooking world and how they're great for card making, and I just never seem to look there. So I really like this one. It looked like a die cut, and I thought it'd be fun to go right across our card here. This is a Mother's Day card for my mama. So I am using a trimmer to cut like a border strip around this or behind this vase. So I'm just using my trimmer to cut right up to the vase, but not through the vase. Here I'm trying to decide how thick of a border I want. Now I'm going to cut right up to the flowers, but not through the flowers. And I'll do it from the other side too. So what I have are these slits on the side of the paper, and all I need to do is go ahead and cut around the areas that are outside of those cut lines. The other day I did a video where I showed how you can do this technique with dies and partial die cutting. I'll link to that here. But here I'm just going to do it by hand and cut right up against our image. So I'm just cutting right along the outside of the image, anything that's above and below the cut lines that we created. Now, after I did this, I realized that that super thick white watercolor paper was showing a white line around our colored image, and it looked kind of unfinished. So what I did is I went with the matching real brush pens, whatever color I used on the flower, and I traced around my image. So you see how I'm putting it right on the outside edge? Because there's such a bright white edge that made it look unfinished. So by going in with the matching colors and coloring the sides, it gives it a nice finish. You could totally skip this, but I really believe it makes a big difference. I learned this tip from my friend Kathy Rakusin, who's a coloring genius, and I will link to her YouTube channel here too. She does this with Copic markers, but I think it's great for watercolor too. Okay, so now I have my word that I'm going to use here. I always like to add my little die cuts or stickers with tweezers. That way my hands don't get in the way as I try to figure out where I want these to be positioned. So I'm just going to put it where I want it, let go of it, and then press it down. Very simple. I could stamp a greeting across there, but I love how fancy this sticker is. I want to keep the focus on that watercoloring that we did, so I'm going to keep the rest of the card simple. I have this dot background stamp from My Favorite Things, and I'm going to stamp it onto some peach colored cardstock that I cut and folded into a 4.25 by 5.5 inch note card. And there you can see it's just a tone on tone, so I just use a pink ink on the coral card. Now here I was kind of playing around with where I wanted that to land, decided to put it towards the bottom of my card, putting lots of foam tape on the back of this piece, and I'll take off the release paper and glue it right onto the front of the card. I did go back and add some shimmer with a wink of Stella pen just onto the flower, so there's some shimmer to it. But you could skip that if you wanted to, but I thought since this is a Mother's Day card, the more shine to it, the better. At this point, I realized that my lovely sentiment was a little bit too far to the left, so I took a heart sticker from the Heidi Swapp sticker set and I put it onto the right just to kind of center it a little bit better. And that's it for this card, and this is just another technique for getting more out of your watercolor markers, and you could even try this with watercolor pencils. Now, I have all the information about this card in my YouTube description below, including links to all the products that I use. You could also go over to my blog at jennifermcguireinc.com, where I'll have much more information for you. I also wanted to say a little bit early, Happy Mother's Day to everyone out there, and also give a big hug to anyone out there who might be struggling on Mother's Day. I know it can be a hard day for some for various reasons, and I just want you to know my prayers are with you. I hope you have a wonderful day.